Hello, 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 and welcome to Good News at Primetime. I am Sylvia Hayes, and we have a good show for you tonight. As you can see, holidays are upon us, and tonight we're going to talk about loving our children because it is so important to love our kids and our children. We do things for our children, and our kids think that we are mean and we don't love them and we're just being aggravating. But when they get their own kids, they'll understand where we're coming from because we do a lot of things for our children that they don't think is right. Okay, for instance, like eat your green beans. That's one of the things. They don't think they should eat the green beans because they don't like them. But mom knows those vegetables are good for you. So we're going to be talking about loving our children and the things we do for our kids. And welcome, Mr. Reggie Drummer, my co-host. So how you doing, Reggie?
What's up there, Miss Sylvia, and to the audience out there? I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and we on a subject matter that I think about often when you think about loving our children as part of Dad's on duty and Mom's on a mission. And I've got the holding up your own end Julio banner up here. We have a responsibility to our children, and
Yes, we
one of those
do.
responsibilities is to raise them to become productive individuals. And that means that we got to put some discipline. We have to establish some rules. We have to provide for them. We have to nurture and mold them so that they can be, like a lot of us say, a lot better than we were.
Right. Yeah. And we have to feed them wisdom because they don't just get it off the streets. Everything you get off the streets is not good. So we have to feed them wisdom so they know the right things to do. Because a lot of kids they watch their peers do what their peers do and pay attention to what they say, and that's not always good. So we have to watch over our kids and feed them wisdom, and that's one of the things I do with my book. I'm gonna
Ah,
put that in there.
yes,
Power thoughts. It is feeding the children wisdom. It makes them understand things. Something as simple as talking about bullying. You don't bully kids, and I let them know there are consequences for everything you do, be it good or bad. So you have to teach your children that whether you do good or whether you bad, there are always consequences. And like if you're bullying somebody, you might think you're getting away with it now, but that very person that you are bullying now, one day they may become a doctor. And then if they become a doctor, your child might get sick, gravely ill. You rush into the emergency room, and guess who the doctor is? The very person you're bullying. And
wow,
what's going through your head? Is that person going to hurt my child, or is that person going to help my child? And then the guilt start coming in. I wish I hadn't have done that because he may do something to my child. They think about, is that person going to get revenge on me? You know, so
right.
we have to think about the things that we do, and children, as an adult, we should think about everything, but we should teach our children to think about everything you do, even when you're good grades. A lot of kids they want to cheat and have somebody else to do their work for them. It's like when you cheat, you're cheating yourself. You're cheating yourself out of an education, okay, by letting somebody else do it or paying somebody else to do your work. So when it's time for you to know that knowledge or take advantage of what you've learned in school, you won't have it because somebody else did it. you
Right.
know so we have to teach our children, loving our children. It's important. We have to teach them to study, because that's important, to teach them how to study and get their work and make the best grades, because when you're in school, a lot of kids, they just want to get by. If I can just make a D, I'm passing. If I can make a C, I'm good. But why settle for a D or C when you can get an A? Because when you go to the doctor, you want the best doctor, you want the best medicine, you want the best dentist, so if you want the best, and why are you going to settle for less? Okay, a
Right.
low grade, because they ain't gonna want you if you flunked out in medical school. No, nah, they want those who had the good grades in medical school.
Right.
So,
And and you
so
made me
we have to
think,
teach them.
you know, everything, even in loving your kids, you have to be fair, just, and honest and transparent as a parent because they see everything you do. They hear, especially now. They, you used to be able to say, "Do what I say," not what you see me do, and
Hmm.
most kids would walk that line. But today is a little bit different. So parents have to be clear uh, and precise in whether it's discipline, whether it's showing love. Some parents say, well, I play with my kids. They undisciplined. You tell little Johnny he's the best, or Sally, she's the best. And that could put them into a mindset where they're not ready for failure or letdown. So sometimes you can
Right.
love your kids in a way where you isolate them and put them in a position when they grow up they're not going to be good parents, or they might not be parents at all. So loving your children means a whole lot of things. You have to blame a spiritual, a mental, a physical, a social environment. On a negative note, I thought about people that raise their children in a hostile environment. They might think it's love, but they teach them to either alienate or hate another group or race of people. And that's based in the household. When we look at three situations that just happened, one with the McMichaels down in Brunswick, Georgia, uh, Rittenhouse up in Wisconsin, I think in Wisconsin, and just recently with the school shooting in Michigan, where the parents kind of cultivated this young man into a position where he actually went and shot and killed four of his fellow students. And the parents were there as a discipline mechanism, but they didn't do it. They, in their minds, they might have loved him, but they loved him into a position where the kid became a lot less tolerant of other people. So we have to have uh, a lot more responsibility. We have to look at stuff long term. What we teaching our kids. When we teaching them, we love them. You want to pat your kids on the back and make them the best and tell them the best, but they have to understand that they're going to be in a world that's going to be diversified and a lot of other people.
Yeah, and from my understanding, with that the child had been bullied, and the school wasn't doing anything about it, and it's been reported. So that parent probably did what my mom told us: pick up something, knock the daylights out of them. I would just be
Well,
honest. That's what my mom. Because if the school didn't handle it, then you're gonna have to handle it. That's the way it was. And from my understanding, it's been reported to the school, and they weren't doing anything, and the child was just getting, I guess, maybe frustrated. You can only kick a dog for so long, before the
okay.
dog turn around and bite you.
Right.
So
Well, a lot of that goes to parenting because I'm pretty sure there's many times we've been a little upset, and I look at my family. Uh, I guess I was raised more by my grandmother, so she taught us a lot of tolerance, uh, a lot of patience. Because she had tolerance and patience. Uh,
yeah,
if
yeah,
if we got in trouble at school back then, when I was in early elementary school, she would actually walk down to the school. You know,
right. Well, you
and
know
and
what?
she,
Let's hold on for a second. We got some guests. I forgot to bring them on.
okay, yes,
Yes, we have Mr. Stephen Mintz. Mr. Mintz, are you still? Well, actually, it's Reverend Stephen Mintz. Reverend Mintz, are you still there? Okay. And we also have Michael Douglas. Mike, are you there? They're not there right now. Okay. They were there. Okay. Continue with your journey.
Oh, okay. Well, I know these gentlemen to join us because uh as I'll say dad's on duty in the community doing things to
Uh-huh.
help uh young people because outside of the family structure, there's the community structure. And in the community structure, we have to show love for our children, our young people that's growing up to be future leaders. So, in all capacity, there are many things that all of us have some obligation. You know, I knew when I was growing up, even the winos would show you some love. They tell you,
Mhm.
"Hey, what you learn anything today?" They were like an extension of my core family. You know, if I pass by one, they say, "Boy, what you learn today? You learn, what you learn in school today?" And even though they wouldn't put themselves down, they would motivate you to want to study. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
they'll tell you a little thing because they love you. They say, if you don't want to be on these streets, you better study hard. If you don't want to be out here, you better pay attention to your mama, your daddy, things of that nature. So the community has to show some love for our children as they grow up. And sometimes that can be lacking because sometimes the community is not nice.
You're right. You're
It's,
right.
it's
It's
hard.
not.
It's unfriendly, and you have so many other people that come into the community, and they can cause other problems. So it's very important that you have love in the household.
Right. That is important. And our household, we were a very close knit family.
Okay.
So that was important. So we had love, and we had love with my mom too. My mom loved us very much, and a lot of things that she did and told us to do and had us doing, we didn't like it, didn't appreciate it. But when you get your own kids, you can see where mom was coming from.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, because one of the things I remember, we would always call mama, Mama, this so and so did this, Mama doing this. And one day my mom said, I'm sick and tired of y'all calling me. Name the big tongue mama and call it sometime. You know? So you know what? I found myself doing that with my kids. That they were
Okay.
always calling me because one is doing something to the other one. Mama, 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 mama. I'm sick and tired of y'all calling me. Name the big toe mama and call it sometime. So that and just eating your vegetables and stuff. We didn't have a problem with eating vegetables. Um,
Okay.
but my kids did. Some of them they didn't like certain foods and stuff like that. It's like eat it. It's good for you, and they don't understand how important it is to eat the right foods. So we have to sometimes force it or change the taste of it so they can't eat it. So it is all part of love. It's
Mm.
all part of love and discipline your kids so they won't cut up in school or cut up in the public. So, like with us, you didn't cut up when you go to the store and you want something or something, have temper tantrum. We didn't do
Okay.
that kind of stuff. In my community, if you have a temper tantrum in the store, you're gonna get disciplined in the store. It ain't no wait till
Okay.
I get home and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
that's
Did,
still love. You don't
did
show
you
out and embarrass your parents.
did, did you ever have to get a whooping or something in the store?
Nope,
Okay.
never have. And I never had that problem with my kids either. Because I
Okay.
remember one time when my son was small, we were at the store and there was the people on the side that they were selling, rummage stuff, and they had this old rusted bicycle. And my son wanted that bicycle so bad. He kept saying, Mama, please, can I have it? I'm telling him, no, you cannot
Mm.
have that. No. And he kept on, Mama, please, Mama, please. And I told him no. He got in the car and he sit there and he silently cried. And I felt
Okay.
so bad for him, you know, because he wanted that back, but he didn't cut up. He didn't cut up, and that was a good thing. He didn't cut up. He silently cried in the back seat of the car,
Mm.
because he wanted that bike. But I got him one for Christmas, though.
Okay. Well, you made me think one of the things, and I think this was a real lesson. Um, when I would go into a store, and I still do that today. That was, I guess, really out of love to protect us. Uh, we were just taught not to pick up because it was it was uh, it was three of us and my cousin, so we got four male. So we were
Mhm.
taught not to pick up stuff that just going. You see kids just picking up stuff in the store. People say, "Oh, that little Johnny pick up stuff. He run around the store, open up candy, eat candy in the store, open up toys, start playing with toys." Well, we didn't do that, okay?
Mhm.
And
Uh-huh.
even today, I don't go in stores and just pick up items nonchalantly. I pretty much know what I want. Now, I may go in a store and try on a pair of shoes and some clothes, but if I go into a store, I'm just not picking up stuff and walking around with it, eating, and all those things. You see some bad habits, and sometimes people say, "Well, I'm showing my kids some love because I want them to feel like they can do and be a part of anything." But there are some things that, out of love, that might work inside your family cubicle, but it could be detrimental, especially to males, especially the black and brown kids. If you don't show them a little bit of discipline, then they're going to be put in a compromised position because, or they think that they can have it their way. Even with other kids from other population groups, I've seen kids, and you probably seen them. You see a little Johnny throwing a temper tantrum, and you like, man, I wish I had a belt. I'd beat that behind. Because all he needs is one good behind beating, and he won't do that. But that's going to be the same little knucklehead that's going to raise up and rise up and try to run a country into the ground. You can't tell him nothing when he gets older.
Right.
Spare the
Yeah.
rod. What do they say? Spare the rod. Was spoil the child and spare the rod. What's that quote?
Yeah, spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah,
Beat the child with a rod for correction.
yeah.
You know,
But
so and that was
discipline.
one of the things I did do. I didn't whip my kids all the time. I did a lot of
Mhm.
talking,
Right.
but I did whip them though. I did whip them because especially if it was urgent, I guess you could say they got it. They
Well,
did.
well, well,
And my, go ahead.
well. If you lay the rules down kind of early, uh, and
Uh
that's
huh.
part of love. You won't have to do as much whipping. Uh, we didn't get a lot of
Right.
whooping. You know, now we got in trouble, but I didn't. You know, because whippings in the long term don't really stop you from doing nothing. I know plenty of kids got a whoop. They just as bad and continue to be bad in their, throughout life. But I think whether it's a form of corporal punishment, which is whooping, a form of verbal, not abuse, but my parents had a way of talking to me where I just didn't want to do the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And even when I did the wrong thing, I knew it was wrong, and I didn't want it to get back to them. And out of love, uh, they put those things in me. It's still in me. Even when I was raising my son, you know, um, I had to whoop him a couple of times, but not in public because he would know what I expected. And I think out of love and raising your kids, you have to establish boundaries. We have to establish rules, and we have to have some degree of expectation. You know, when my son was in first grade, it was certain things we expected him to get up and go to school, him to bring his homework home. Those type of things. And I think when you put those things out, that's part of love because that will follow them as they get older. And even when it comes down to you as you get older, if you give your kids too much liberty, they'll end up not even seeing about you or taking care of you. Because I've seen young people in their 40s got parents 60, 70 years old. They talking to them like they not their parents.
Right. Yeah. And
All
so
the,
one of the things you have to do is teach your children to honor the elders,
oh yeah.
respect them. A lot of, like you said, a lot of them don't treat them
Mm,
right. And I feel sorry for some, and that's why it's so important to love your children and teach them the right thing, because when you get older, you want them to respect you and love you and take care of you. And so
right.
you gotta teach them right, so they can have that love. They show you love older, and then they show their kids love. So that's important too. Just as showing your kids love.
And
That's important.
sometimes and I know we in the Christmas holiday season, a lot of parents, they think showing love to their kids is buying them everything, catering to them, all those things. Okay, one of the things out of love, I learned how not to get everything you want. Okay, because sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get it, we didn't have enough money to get it, or you just wasn't gonna get it, and uh, you learn those things within your family structure when you learn that okay, you can't get that. I don't know, or that's not gonna come in my house. Well, today, because some parents, they think that's a part of loving, where they say, well, I don't know how he got that bicycle, but my baby went and got him a bicycle. Now,
Oh no.
in the old
They they
traditional
they
family, don't nothing come in the house if if my mom didn't get it, it's not coming in there. So, and they
right.
know, but today, because you say I love my baby, and you already know your baby went out and got a bicycle, what, 12, 13 years old, new
Uh-huh.
bicycle. You got to know, how did he get it?
Exactly.
Oh,
And I know
ooh,
with my kids, the only thing I know that came in, I didn't know what it was video games. So they
okay,
had it wasn't a Nintendo, it was the other one. They had video games. So my
Madden.
my my son and his friend, they would exchange video games.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Sometimes you don't know, right?
yeah, and that was the only thing. Where you get this from?
Yeah,
So and so gave it to me. I let him use mine. And sometimes, because those things cost so much, I didn't want him to leave out of the house.
right.
But
Well, if and I got a comment out there, say if you don't discipline your kids along with loving them, the police gonna discipline them.
exactly.
And that's what's happening now. Just like I said, when we would go in stores, we didn't pick up candy and start eating it in the store. We didn't pick up things and put it in our pocket and walk around the store with it. I've seen so many young people, and other people, population of the people, and people were doing it when I was growing up. It was just that we didn't do it. Now, later on in life, some of those guys got in trouble. I remember going to a store, and uh, we would walk either with our hands behind our back, like, you know, but never putting our hands in our pocket. I guess that's called suspicious behavior now. But I remember, and then we wouldn't be going in the store when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. I didn't
Uh-huh.
never go into a store unless it was like, we didn't go in too many stores without a grown person, an adult.
Right.
Now
So
I was
let me ask you a question. Did you go to places without your parents as a teenager?
after I, well after I got older, I was probably about 17, 8. Well, I went to band trips and stuff like that, but I'm just talking about just being loose, nothing to
Uh-huh.
do. Yeah, we didn't go places like that.
Yeah. Well, my kids didn't really. Well, they go to a couple of community things, but they
Mm-hmm.
were. My son, he did not want me to go with him. If they were having a gathering at the gym,
Right.
If I don't know anything about the gym or who's there and all that kind of stuff, I would go and check it out. And they'd be so embarrassed,
Ah,
They want me to take them, right? See, this,
right,
this is what about teenage kids. Take them there, but you stop at the gate, at the entryway. Don't go
right,
all the way up and let them off at the door. They want to be
right.
let
Okay.
off way back there. I would
Ah.
drive right up to the door, you know, or somewhere close by, park, go in to check out the event they want to go to. They
Okay.
wouldn't get out of the car until I go in, and then they'll get out.
Ah.
Because
Well,
they be
well.
embarrassed. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm
But you
checking
know
out.
what?
I'm going, okay, they having this party here for teenagers. I don't know who's running it. I need to check it
Right.
out. Because
Well.
you never know. So
Well. That's
that was one of the things that was showing love for my child and his welfare, who you hanging out with, and all that kind of stuff. Some parents don't do that. Mom, I'm
oh
going
no.
here. Okay, see you later. But
Yeah.
no, I was there.
Well.
I went in and I talked to the facilitator and asked them what's going on and all that kind of stuff. And then when I'm satisfied, I'm good. I can go and just come back
Well.
and pick them up later.
Well. That's
But
good parenting because what that does now, even though young people at certain ages, like even with my son, when he was up to about maybe 7 or 8, he didn't mind me dropping him off and all that type stuff. Now,
mm-hmm.
as he got a little older, a teenager, and I could feel it, he wanted to be somewhat independent, but I didn't know where he was. And I think that's the key thing as parents. You have to love yourself, love your family, love your kids in such a way where you want to know where they are, who they involved with, and that puts you in a better position of knowing something. Because part of
Right.
showing love is discipline, and you got to have some rules. You got to have some expectations. If you go in there and you see some kids acting up, like I went to a dance or something with some kids smoking, and then but because I had talked to my son when he was 8, 9, 10 years old about smoking and drinking,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't I didn't have to do an on the spot conversation like, hey, you don't need to be in there drinking. He already knew where I was with drinking and smoking, you know, in those junior high and high schools. And even though some of the other kids looked like they were doing it, and just different behavior. I said, well, you want to have fun, but I would always tell them you don't want to do nothing that's going to cause you problems 20 years from now. That includes
Right.
whatever. You got I would teach, we would have the birds and the bees conversation. I said, well, don't never let nobody put you in a situation where you feel you got to take something to school to hurt somebody. You got a problem with somebody at school. Let me know, let the teacher know. I think about my son. He got into an altercation maybe 2 times, and each time he got into an altercation, it was a little kid just like him. Because when he was in like maybe fourth or fifth grade, that was a little
Uh-huh.
altercation. They was tussling, and the teachers, uh, you know, anytime kids get into any scuffle, they call that a fight. It really wasn't a fight. They just tussling, and the teacher, you know, sent him to the principals, all that type stuff. But when he got in I think that's maybe eighth grade, I said, well, this could be harder. Him and the young man got into a situation, but both of them were just alike. They were overly playful. Well, when they got him in there for fighting, I went there. His I think his grandmother was raising the other little young man, and that was my son. So when I got there, talked to both of them, because they didn't want my son to come back and hurt their son, and I didn't want their son to come back and hurt my son. But the school had told us they was fighting, but they really wasn't fighting. They was really just tussling, that type of thing. So I
Right.
was blessed not to have situations that got out of hand. And My son's personality, even though he was the only child, he was able to interact with other kids. We didn't teach him that he was, I taught him he was good, he could be the best and all that, but I didn't put him in a position where he thought he was, much better and all that type stuff. Where when he went to school, it was hard for him to get along with people. So those are some things we have to teach our kids, because today you got some kids, if you get into the school system, especially, there are kids that won't even go to school. Their parents didn't even don't even know they haven't been going to school because people bully them. They don't feel comfortable telling nobody. They don't have nobody to talk to. That's another thing. You can have somebody talk to you as a parent. I could I
Mm-hmm.
could I could talk to my mother, or anybody in my family structure, my aunts, my granddaddy, even my dad, when he was come, I could by that I could talk to him without feeling some type of fear. You know what I'm saying? You know, because they kept an open door policy, but again, they weren't really gonna just take my side because I thought I could get away with something. So those are some things parents have to do. So you
Um,
know, if it's one lesson that you learn from your mom and your dad that you uh pass down for discipline, uh your kids, even your grandkids, what would that be?
one thing I passed down, gee whiz, not to run off at the mouth, probably. I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, cause I was afraid to talk back to my mom, you know. So one of the things my kids did do, they did respect me with their mouth. They I didn't have them cursing me or anything like that. They respected me as their mother. They might have tried to get away with a few things, but
Hmm.
as I did have that respect. Okay, I said, and I got that from my mom too, because you didn't say anything or do anything around my mom, because you get belted, knocked in the mouth, all that
Oh,
kind of stuff. Not that she's ever done that, but you would be afraid because she had that fear of, in you.
okay.
So my kids, they never did that. I guess
Yeah.
that was one I passed down to them.
Yeah. And I thought about the other one, and this was a question. You think about parents that they want to be their kid's best friend. You see them even dressing alike. You see a mommy and a daddy. I mean, a mommy and a daughter. I see it with women more than I do with young men. But I see
Mhm.
some parents, you know, uh, I guess they're going back to the woman and reverted back to her high school. She see her daughter, and she's like, "That's my best friend. We're the best booze." And her daughter is a doggone butthole. She's arrogant, snobby, all because you know it, they like best friends. She's never taught her any discipline or anything. She just let her do what she want to do. But what do you think about parents that want to be their kid's best friend?
I don't know. I'm a mother first.
Oh, okay. What do you
Yeah.
mean by
So
that?
I, as far as friends now, I am her best friend. Like my daughter, well, both of my kids, I am their best friend
Okay.
because you can come to me whenever you need something. When you have a problem, you come to me. I guess that's the parenting thing too. But I being a friend is not coming before being a parent. I am your parent first. Because I've had my kids to say, I don't like you, I hate you, you know,
Ah,
because they were angry, because they couldn't get their way or something I did. I hate you. Of course, that was when they were younger. I don't get that now. But I'm always a parent first. You know, uh, if they had problems with siblings, well, not siblings, but with classmates or the teacher or somebody in the community, you come to me. Okay?
Mm.
So that's where I say I'm their best friend. You come to me with your problems, I help you solve it. But I'm not going to jump in their fights or anything like that. I don't do that. But I will help you to solve your problem. If somebody, for instance, somebody came to me, one of my kids was telling me how people were talking about them and talking about me. I'm going, that's okay. They talked about Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
He's still going. And that was one of the things I got from my mom, because they used to say things to me about my mom. And my mom said, that's okay. She said, they talked about Jesus Christ. So, and it don't
So,
bother them. As long
so,
as you know what's right, you know what's going on. It doesn't matter what anybody else say.
so
And,
sticks and
and
stones
so,
would break my bones, because I've seen a mama and her daughter get in a fight because they were just like close friends. You know, there was not much distance between her mama and her, and they got so involved. Her mother was so involved in her relationship with her friends and everybody like that, so they would get in arguments, and her mom would be right in the middle. So I guess that's what I mean by extreme friendships where the
oh
mother
no.
forgets she's a mother. And then I think about males and extreme, because I'm still like a friend to my son. But I always think about, if you ever saw that movie Fences, remember, like Denzel, a bunch of people played the role, but in there his son is
Mm-hmm.
like, Daddy, you don't never tell me I love you. I don't have to tell you I love you. When I put food on the table, that's telling you I love you. When I pay the bills or keep the lights on, that's telling you I love you. I don't have to tell you, I don't have to, and a lot of males, are like that. Not all of them. My dad wasn't like that. My granddad wasn't like that. But in some male households, there's not a closeness like a son and father. It's basically, I love you because I keep the lights on. I love you. I don't have to go to your schools and see your little plays. I don't have to see you play baseball. All I want you to do is be a better man than me. Now, in a way, that guy is showing his son love, and it's hard love, but it's not affectionate where, because the son might want to say, Dad, I would just want to go. I'm working all the time. I'm working 18 hours a day to keep these lights on, keep food on the table. And you think I don't love you? I ain't got to love you. And, you see a lot of that could be considered abuse. But in that male's mind, he's a provider for his family, and he loves his family.
Mm-hmm.
He
But
just,
see, the
he just,
thing is, with the father not going there and participating and watching it, the child be hurt because everybody else's parents going to be there watching them play ball or whatever, yelling for them, and they want their parents there too. So even though, see, that was one of the mistakes. That's one of the mistakes that a man makes. I'm out here working my butt off trying to provide for you. You got to try to even the playing ground. I guess
well,
you could say,
what
do
would
a
you
little
rather
of
daddy
both.
do? Would you
Huh?
rather, what would you rather daddy do? Whether have the lights turn off, no power, no food, and everybody's hugging each other and say, you know what? We ain't got no power. We ain't got nowhere to stay, but daddy really loves you.
Yeah, I mean, if if you're working and having overabundance of amount of stuff, you can cut back some and
Okay.
for your child.
Mm,
That's what broke up some marriages because the
okay.
man's always working and not taking care of he's always working and not being there for his wife. The wife want him at home sometimes, but he feel like I'm out here working, busting my butt off so you can have everything. That's not everything. I mean, you
Mm,
call yourself, that's not the love I want. My love is not material. My love is emotional.
but
So
but
we
but they
need
stand,
emotion.
but
Huh?
but and I use a scenario like fences where they were in a nice neighborhood, things of that nature. Um, and some guys think that's it. All I got to do is put that food on the table, make sure uh stuff is taken care of around the house, and I go to work 5 o'clock in the morning, so I ain't got time to really be hugging you and try to see what your homework assignment look like. I'm not going to band practice with you. I'm not trying to see what you're doing on the basketball court on any of those things. And I know that does affect people, young people, because if you can, I think the modern family is
Uh-huh.
trying to be the modern day family is trying to address a lot of those things. They're trying to provide. They're trying to show a little love because now we're paying attention. These discussions didn't go on when I was growing up. Nobody, especially in Black and Brown community, nobody just said, you know what, it'll be a good idea is you didn't work all the time and y'all did some family activities, like go on vacation, go to the park, a picnic, things of that nature. But today, uh, the family, the whole nucleus of the family's been changed because a lot of people are saying, you know what, I wish my daddy had been there to go on a picnic. Look like, and sometimes it's not a hard resentment. It's just that they saw how their family was. And even though their family stayed together, I've been in relationships where people, their mom and dad was together 40, 50 years. And daddy died and after they got grown, but they don't have any memories of dad other than him going to work, leaving the house at 6 o'clock, and coming back at 8 o'clock, and going to sleep. They waking back up, going to school, yada yada yada. But today, part of that whole love equation for the family is a lot more involved. Yeah, you see men hugging and kissing their sons and their daughters. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't the case when I was growing up. I don't, and I know my granddaddy loved me, but I don't. My dad now we hugged and embraced and that. But growing up, that wasn't part of the thing. Uh, and I don't think that affected me too much. But even with my son relationship, I give him a hug. Whenever he was little, about 9, I give him a hug. But the affection part, I think as men, we're learning how to do that in our families and how to divide up the time with the family. Because you got to have time with the spouse, the wife.
Yeah.
You got to have time with the kids. And each child, mine was easy because I just had one. But just imagine you got 4 or 5 kids. You got different personalities. You got different needs. You got different wants. You got 5 folk and I use my brother's example. They got each of them got about 4 kids. So they got different personalities in the family. So they got to make adjustments. One wants to do this, one wants to do that. They got to go in and out. So it's an emotional challenge now to love your kids. And plus you need self-love for yourself. Because
Yep.
you can pour so much out to your family that they said, man, goodness, they killed their mama, man. She loved them babies. The daddy, they put him in an early grave. He was everywhere they were at. But I think the balance now is a lot more balanced in the family. Even though you see some family, that's why if you can have 2 parents, you need them. You need a mommy
Yeah.
and a daddy. Well,
But you know
there.
what? Having two parents is good, but sometimes both of them in the house is not good. No,
Why is
especially if they
that?
fighting like cats and dogs. No,
Well,
that's bad for the children. And
well, yeah.
it was something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, I know a man who said my father never told me that he loved me. You know,
Mm,
a grown man with his own kids, and he was hurt.
wow.
Because his father never told him he loved him. He needed to hear that. And there are a lot of
Mm.
kids who need to hear that. There are kids who out there playing ball and they want their dads to be proud of them. And dad gonna
Yeah.
say, I'm out here working, busting my butt off for you. That's not enough. That is part of their self-esteem. I'm not good enough. You know,
Mm.
that's what the dad is teaching the child to think. I'm not good enough. He don't love me or something. It helps to build the child and make them
Okay.
want to do more. So it's important to show your
Whoa.
child support. You know, every now and then, even it's not always the quantity of time, but the quality of time now that you
Mm.
give your kids. And it doesn't have to always, if it's nothing but on Saturdays go get a cone of ice cream. Hey man, let's go get some ice cream.
Mm.
That could be a memory right there to make the child say, my dad loves me. We go get ice cream. He don't do anything else, but he'll take me to get some ice cream.
Right.
You know?
Well,
So that's important. That little bit of love, showing that you love your child, rather than saying, I'm going to work and you take care of everything here. No. You need to be there with your child. No, it's
well,
not all about working and everything. And tell them you love them. That is so important. You know,
right.
discipline, and buying us everything the child wants is not love. You know,
Oh no.
because you got to teach them that you can't have everything you want. If you give them everything they want, buy them all this expensive stuff, when they get grown, they're gonna expect this, or when they get older, they're gonna expect them. If they can't provide it, then what they're gonna do? Steal it or something
Whoa.
like that. You have to
Yeah.
teach your children that you can't have everything you want. You got to earn stuff. Everything is not handed to you on a silver platter. I work, I have this money, this is my money. This is not your money. You know, so you got to teach them that's your money. You are helping them out because you're the parent and you love them, but it's not yours. You know,
Right.
so that's part of the love too. You know, teaching the children to support themselves and not just depend on me, you know, because my kids, I am so grateful and proud of my children. They are so independent. They don't have to come to me for anything. They're doing their own thing. You know, they don't have to come to me. I don't have to worry about disciplining them. We're not disciplining them because they're grown, but I don't have to worry about
I
them
hope you ain't got to whoop
getting
them.
in trouble.
Right.
Huh?
As I hope you ain't got to whoop them that now. You,
No,
hey,
no,
but you know
I don't
what?
have to worry about them getting in trouble. And
Right.
they're doing such a great job with their kids. And you know what? They do some of the stuff that I did, you know, because uh they learn from me. Because
Right.
I know when my daughter was here and my son-in-law saw me doing something, and he said, "That's where she got that from." You
Ah.
know? And I remember being at their house and he said, that's where she got that from. No, so your children learn from you and they pass it along to their kids. So you have to remember that. And remember you can't be in the road all the time because your kids need you. You know, because you be in the road doing your own thing. I'm not saying give up your life for them. No, it has to balance. Because I didn't give up my life for my kids. I included them in the things that I'm doing. And of course, I put stuff on the back burner for my kids because they are important. They are number one. I have to make sure that they are good mentally, physically, and financially. You know, I have to make sure that they are good because God put them here for me. He put those children in my hands to take care of. And God
Mm.
expect me to do the right thing by his children. You know,
Right.
so when I do that, because that's the most important job you are commissioned to do, is to raise
Oh
another
yeah.
being.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What,
that is an important job, and you have to
what
be, huh?
I was like, what's that scripture or something that says, raise a child in the way, and then that child will never depart from that way? Meaning that
Mm-hmm.
if you put the right mix of instruction, discipline, love, and those things in there, you will create and build a better person. You know, they call them mini means now. You got a mini me
Yeah.
that duplicates, because you know, just like certain things that my son does. and his family is just like what I was doing. You know, uh, making sure that things were there, setting a tempo, being a protector, but not being so dominant that nobody voice is heard but his. You know, because some males, that's part of the household structure. Is
Mm-hmm.
you know when I get here, they know when daddy get home. This man, all hell break loose when daddy come home because he knocking heads. I was just watching a movie, and that's what the male was doing. He was frustrated because he loved his family, but he was frustrated because he couldn't make enough money. He couldn't provide. So when he got home, they called hell. And the little child, he was narrating, and he said, "Man, he didn't he ran away from home when he was like 17 years old and never looked back, all because of that family, how they raised.
Mm.
So we have to pay attention and show love and discipline. We have to be fair. We have to be like the creator. Uh we have to show compassion, empathy, we have to show love, we have to be patient, long suffering, enduring, we have to share knowledge, wisdom, all those things have to come from the family. That's all part of that love thing.
Right. Yeah. And that love in the family structure, it is so dynamite.
Oh
It is
yes.
so because if you have love in your family, you can conquer anything.
Oh yes. and,
Yeah, you
and
can you
they'll
can conquer.
feel, if you teach your kids uh where they got options. Like I say, sometimes if you teaching your kids bad thoughts, like where they say you ain't got no option, these people taking your job, these folks trying to take over the country, all this type of stuff. When you look at a lot of kids that are acting up, uh, whether it be urban kids or kids in the suburbs, shooting schools up, things of that nature, or people robbing and gang banging, beating up old people, that's a showing that the family structure has broken down somewhere.
Hmm.
There was no love, no compassion, no respect, no discipline, none of those things. And those younger population of people, when they start to act out, it's not going to be in our best interest, because especially as we get older, you do not want uh, a unprepared or undisciplined person to be your doctor, to serve you fries at a restaurant, or wash your car, or do your hair, because it's going to show. So in the family structure, you have to start early, even before conception, thinking about the love you have for your child, all the way up,
Right.
because and that starts, you know, and it's fresh in my head because he was talking about something even before you connect. You have to be at a level where uh, you connect for the sole purpose of creating a child, and then when that child is created, you have to be already thinking about how you're going to raise that child. The male and the female have to be in agreement with what their expectations are. Mama can't be going that way and daddy can't be going that way. They have to be on the same page, and that's part of love. And when a kid or a child grows up in a household like that, they come out better.
Right. Yeah. You're right. And as long if they're on the same house, same level, and even if they're in two different households, if they're getting along with each other, because kids sometimes have a tendency to pull the parents against each other. You know,
Yeah,
Mama said this, or if Mama said you can't do it, and then you go to Dad, and Daddy say yeah. They go, they play them.
right.
They play
Well,
them, so they have to be on the same level, in tune with each other.
right,
So,
right, right,
what did your mom say? Well, let me talk to mom first, you know, because they will do that.
right.
They will. And one of the things I was thinking about, I remember my son, I would designate a certain amount of money to get shoes. And he would want to get, something more. I'm going, if
Hmm.
I have this amount of money, if you want anything different, You got to put your own money with it, you know?
Ah,
And so I, and sometimes I would just tell my kids no just for the hell of it, just
okay.
because it's not so much as I couldn't, but to teach them you can't have everything you want.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You cannot have, because life is not like that. A lot of times you're going to go for jobs and you can't get the job you wanted. There's a lot of times you're going to want this girl and this girl don't want you. And you
Mm,
have to accept that. You accept no. And some guys, they can't accept no,
yeah.
you
Hey,
know? And,
yeah.
and I've seen times a girl turn them down and they curse them out, call them everything
Yeah.
but a child of God. That's not the way you treat a lady. So
Right.
that's part of the loving too, is teaching your children how to treat other people. Because I
Yeah.
taught my son to open the door, he will open the door for his sister.
Okay. Well, well,
So
well, well, those are good discipline. Again, discipline. If you show, or if young people see you doing it, you know, like a lot of things, even with some of my nephews, you know, they didn't see my behavior uh as being, wild and crazy. So when I see them in their relationships now, uh their mannerism is similar. How you treat somebody, how you
mhm.
handle things, even disagreement. Uh and I thought about some things, over, lifetime. Did you get a allowance when you was growing up?
No. But I gave
Yeah,
my kids one. So let me tell you
yeah,
how I did my allowance with the kids. Okay, so like
okay,
they would get $5 a week, right? And I had
okay,
this chart. If you did everything on your chart, you got your $5. But everything you
okay.
didn't do, I deducted from it. So whatever what's left, that's what you get at the end of the week.
Wow, okay.
So it wasn't just an audit. You had to earn that $5. You
Right,
know,
yeah.
you had to earn it.
And, and that's showing discipline, because all this is part of love. If you love your
Hmm.
your children, it starts even before you start having children. You have,
Right.
even though most people hadn't thought about it like that, but if you can think about, uh some people think like that. They say, okay, I've already thought about, uh the lady already thought about the type guy, and she'll see guys. She said, I don't want that guy to be part of none of my children's life. We just good friends, yada yada. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. You end up with somebody that might not have been your first choice. And then if you all have children, you have to figure out some way to love each other. Well, you got to love yourself first. Then you got to figure out some way to love each other. Then you got to figure out some way to love your children, love, respect, discipline, all those things. So
Hmm.
all these things come back home with what we've been taught from our parents. Okay. So
Yeah.
we have to become better teachers, and doers of parenting. And they got books. Back in the day, I think the only thing was out was Green Eggs and Ham, Dr. Seuss. They didn't start writing children books until the baby boomers came on board, the mid 60s. There were no
Hmm.
books on how to raise kids. But
Right. But then too, uh, they might have these books, but everybody have a different personality, so the book
yeah,
wouldn't fit them to a T either. It give them,
true.
I guess, maybe a general idea of what to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
it
it
would
don't
help,
come with instructions, you know.
huh?
Uh, so it doesn't come with instructions. When you look at your grandparents and great grandparents, they didn't get instructions on how to raise. They just did. They did things the best they could during the time
Right.
being that they were there. It's just like now, and even when I was raising my son, even today, I said, man, I think just do the best you can, because uh, I think sometimes the pressure that's on young families that's raising the next generation, whether it's a
Hmm.
single person, a single mother, a single father, or if it's a couple. And see now, the family is different, you know, because you've got used to be a time you had a mother, father, maybe a stepmother, a stepdaddy, you know. Now you've got same gender people. You know what I'm saying? And there's a whole change up of the nucleus of the family. And I've seen people that were same gender that raised some beautiful kids and put them in a position where they became better and more productive people in life. So a lot goes to the intention, how you were raised, your expectations, and we all have to have some expectations. You know, what do we want and what do we want our children to do and be? You know, so that's all that's part of loving children.
Yeah. I know I just wanted my children to be a decent member of the society.
Okay.
That was my goal, to empower them. I wanted them to have knowledge of everything, culture, finances, education, everything. So I taught my kids early on about culture, their culture, their history, and and that's part of the love too. Teaching the child where they come from.
Mm,
Because when they get older, they be wanting to know where I come from, or their kids gonna say where I come from, and all of that kind of stuff. Who is
right.
my parents? Who is my grandparents? My great grandfather. What did they do in life, and all of that kind of stuff. Just knowing history, period. Is part of the love thing. Because when you know where you come from, you can actually love yourself a little bit more. Know that this is in my family. So knowing your history is important, and you can love. That's what I can say. That's part of the love thing. Knowing,
Ah,
loving yourself is loving children. Well, teaching children who they are is part of loving their children, loving your children. So they can love themselves. So that's important right there. And just teaching culture, um, just doing things together as a family. That's love right there. Going to ball games together, teaching them how to cook, that's a love thing, so they can support themselves. Because I've
okay.
seen people go out into the world, didn't know how to cook, didn't know how to shop,
Right.
didn't know how to write a check, you know.
Mm,
So
right.
loving your children is more than just saying I love you. It's teaching them to be prepared for life. So yeah, that's about it. Loving. There's so many ways you can love your children. So this is about it for us. Um, Anything else you want to say, Reggie, before we leave out of here?
Well, show some love to your family, and don't be too hard on yourselves, and try to do the right thing.
Right. Yep. Try to do the right thing. That's a good one. Right. And one thing, uh, parenting is a trial and error thing.
Oh
So
yeah.
you don't always know, but you know what? You try it with your kids. When you get the grandkids, you know what to do. And you can
Oh,
pass
you
that
have
knowledge
enough of them,
down to
you'll
your
work the math
grandkids.
out. They say
Huh?
you have enough of them, you'll work the math out. You get down to the details.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So I guess that's gonna be about it. Loving your children, that it is important, and it's more than just a paycheck and keeping a roof over your head. That's love too. But we need to be cultured, cuddled, and told that we love you. You know, tell your children you love them. Give them a hug every now and then, because that hugs me so much.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, people don't realize what a hug would do. Hugs actually release stress. You know, people
Oh,
when they get a hug, they feel better.
mm,
They feel closer and everything. Hugs mean a lot. So hug your children, tell them you love them, praise them, don't always put them down. Okay? So instead of putting children down, tell them how they can improve themselves. Okay?
mm.
Well, you didn't make it this time, but this is what you need to do. rather than you fail, you just a flunky. Don't do that because it's bad on their self-esteem.
Right.
Help them because sometimes children struggle and they don't know that they're struggling. They don't know how to express it. And if you
Right.
see it, help them out, rather than trying to just discipline them all the time. Help them out, guide them, because that's the parents' job is to guide and teach our children. So do that. Okay. So that is it for me. It is time is up. And we are talking about loving your children. This is Sylvia Hayes and Reginal Drummer on Good News at Prime Time. And until next time, uh, love everybody, show love, teach your children to love everybody. And we're out of here. Have a good one.